Hello and greetings, everybody. Just wanted to hop on and do a quick video. I just got back from the gym, so if I sound a bit winded, that's the reason why. Now, I did want to address recently, Zimmerman has returned to the news as far as social media is propagating. From what I gather from a couple of sources, there's some sort of lawsuit involved on the part of Zimmerman. I really haven't had time to look into stuff like this, since right now I have an overload of trying to promote the book, trying to get somebody who will give me a space to do so. Working on some other literary projects. I have a full-time job, so I really haven't had time. But from what I gather from a couple of sources, there is some sort of lawsuit involved. What brought up the situation to my attention, to my utmost attention, was a Facebook friend of mine who is a gentleman of African American descent, who pretty much says something to the effect of how silent his Hispanic and white friends are with this Zimmerman, being, pronounced all over social media. And I did comment that perhaps many whitewashed Hispanics, since there are a lot of Hispanics, a vast majority, quite a few that I've met who harbor that same racist sentiment against darker skinned Hispanics and Mexicans for that matter. Imagine everybody else who is not of our ethnic group. Perhaps they are not willing to, engender some sort of activism and advocacy of the Martin family, if you guys are familiar with the Trayvon Martin case. But as far as re-indigenizing Xicanos, we see through and past Eurocentrism and white supremacist views. So that doesn't really apply to me, and I'm not silent about stuff like that. That's the reason why I'm bringing forth this video. That's the reason why my book speaks plenty about colorism, self-hate, and just aspiring the paradigm of whiteness. Because the moment we hate ourselves for being darker skinned, the moment we despise the darker skinned relatives in our family, darker skinned individuals, he's too dark, parece indio, parece chuntaro, parece tacuaro, mojado, all kinds of terms that are disgusting and that express a self-hate that is there. We don't see it as self-hate. Why? Because the paradigm is whiteness, and that is the goal. Anything else that stands between us and whiteness, we can hate and despise and eliminate because it's keeping us away from where we want to be, which is a wider reality. So everything that I'm working toward as far as my activism literarily, these videos, the purpose is to bring forth a new era of indigenization. But that comes with advocacy with our African American brothers and sisters, countless other peoples of colors who are undergoing the same circumstances of racial persecution, discrimination, prejudice, oppression, you name it. So therefore, it is very much our responsibility to check our people. There was one comment in which a Caucasian person commented, "Not all white people, the renowned." Not all white people, not all Mexicans, well, check your people, since you are part of that culture, address that issue with the people. Anytime somebody expresses a racist sentiment against somebody of African American descent, I let them know that I will not tolerate that in my presence. And it's the same thing when they discriminate or when they berate somebody of a darker complexion within our own ethnicity. I am quick to check them, and that is our responsibility to do that with our people. Yes, a lot of our parents might have those racist sentiments. If you have to start an argument on Thanksgiving Day, on Christmas Eve, you're going to do it because it's your responsibility to address these issues and check people. Now, this brings us to the whole situation of race, ethnic origin, nationality, and the one that we should be going toward, gravitating toward, is ethnic identity, which is that which identifies us not only as our physical appearance, our skin color, the language or languages that we speak, the accent that we speak these words with, all these other characteristics, all combined, our collective culture, our collective history is what pretty much makes for a wholesome ethnic identity. And that's what we should be going for. Because when we do that, then we accept the fact that we are pretty much in the spectrum of indigeneity. And as such, There's no such thing as discriminating against darker, lighter skinned members of our own family. We begin to love and appreciate who we are and who they are, who are part of that beautiful family of a common ethnic identity. And from there on, we learn to appreciate our fellow brothers and sisters who undergo similar circumstances of oppression and discrimination because we're in it together. If not, we usually go by, governmentally instituted terms such as Latino and Hispanic. And you know what that does? Latino means Latin, which is Southern European, white. Hispanic means from Hispania. When the Roman kingdom, separated, I don't know if you can call it kingdom, but when the Roman territory expanded, there was one part and the other one it was called termed Hispania. So these two terms pretty much gravitate us back to Europe, back to whiteness. And that is why whenever we submit ourselves to these labels, we will always, like a compass, point back to Southern Europe, point back to whiteness. But once we re-indigenize, then no, most of me comes from here, from Anahuac, from Mexico, Tlali, from Turtle Island, term it what you may. So you can keep your Hispanic heritage. I speak Spanish as a rudiment, as a tool, not as something that defines who I am. I speak English because that is the tongue that I've developed to propagate what I have to say, to write, to disseminate my thoughts and everything that I've learned and experienced. I use the lingua franca of this country, which is English. These two languages don't define me. I'm also learning indigenous languages, particularly Nahuatl, and that I'm doing out of my own volition. Because you at one point prohibited my ancestors from speaking indigenous languages. Well, I'll master your languages and I'll rediscover our ancestors' languages. So language doesn't define me. My lighter skin and Southern European feature over here and there, even though I'm prouder when people tell me I look like a pre-Hispanic artifact, they don't define me. My name doesn't define me. I choose what and what doesn't define me. So that goes to that's how I address the whole Zimmerman issue. I don't condone, I don't encourage what he did. On the very contrary, I stand against everything that he signifies, because he is yet another machination of white supremacy and Eurocentrism. So this is pretty much a quick video. I am getting a little bit woozy because I do need to eat. So from here, I'm going to take the discussion to the topic of ethnic identity, race, and nationality and whatnot. That way we can begin to, because I did a video on the terminology that I was going to be employing. So that is going to be, in addition to that, taking us onto how we can explore different identities to assign to ourselves, that we comprise ourselves and not something that they hand you down. Here, you're a Mexican, you're a Latino, you're a Hispanic, you're a whatever, we define who and what we are. So stay tuned.